Hello, amazing humans. Welcome back to Wildly Free Reflections with me, Ashley Looker. Today definitely feels like a wildly free reflection. I have very little notes. I am coming to you today feeling just incredibly inspired to share with you what I've been reflecting on today. So today marks 1 year of losing my grandpa. I've been doing a lot of reflection today and thinking about him. And one of the things that has come up for me in relation to grief and awakening is how our grief can awaken us to our lives in a way that maybe we didn't or couldn't before. And if you've been around in my world long enough, you've probably heard me talk about how important it is, in my belief, that we don't wait until something tragic or traumatic happens in our lives for us to finally wake up and live the lives that we truly are meant to live. But grief has this really mysterious thing about it, right? Where sometimes for some people, it's necessary for something terrible to happen in order for them to finally wake up and go, I'm not living the life that I want to live. I need to make different choices. Like, this is the path that I'm choosing now. And my stance is hopefully that we are more proactive in our life and that we make the difficult and brave choices to live our purpose and live our joy before something drastic or dramatic needs to happen in our lives. And so I've been thinking about how, grief does have this ability to wake us up. And I've been reflecting today about the loss of my grandpa, and two truths have come up for me that have awakened within me since his loss, since his death. So as I kind of talk about those truths today, one thing that I would love for you to consider and reflect on yourself is how grief has awakened you in your life. How has grief changed you and woke you up in ways that maybe you were asleep before? So take that for a walk, take that into your journal. Highly recommend just spending some time with that prompt today. And if you're not in a place today to explore grief, by all means, click away, come back to this on another day when you feel mentally and emotionally and energetically able to explore this topic. Okay, so give yourself permission to go do something else instead of listening to me, okay? So the first truth that I feel like was awakened within me since the loss of my gramps is the regret that I feel, honestly, around not talking to him more about his stories. Like, something that I've thought about a lot since his passing is like all of the stories that died with him. And I have so many questions now, of course, since he's gone. He lived a very, very interesting life. His name was Jim, but his real name was Dallas. He never knew his dad. He actually found his dad, who was miraculously still alive when my grandpa was like 80, and his dad was like almost 100 years old or something. But decided never to meet him because that was my stubborn Gramps. He dropped out of school when he was like in 5th grade. He went down to California when he was 16, got into some gangs. His brother had to go down and like basically rescue him, and like, because he was getting into some pretty serious shit. He met my grandma. They got married super young, had my mom, then had my uncle 10 years later. So there's a 10-year difference between my mom and my uncle. But the thing, I know he has so many interesting stories. He was a collector. He was an antique collector. He loved like old stuff. And he has built, I'll post some pictures, birdhouses, like potting benches. He was really good at construction and crafts. And he just had such a talent for that, even with the very little education that he had. But he would always tell us stories about like where a certain thing came from, or I got this knife here, or I got this tool there, or oh yeah, I got this chair here. But I know that there are so many other stories that I will never know. And that just rips me apart. It's actually one of the things that has kept me writing this past year is just knowing the importance of our stories as writers, as just people in the world, and how our stories connect us with our ancestors, with the people we love, with strangers, through people who read our books or blogs or, subscribe to us on Substack. Sharing our stories has the ability to really connect us. And so that is something that I'm leaning a little bit more into and trying to forgive myself for. And also, my biggest intention is to not allow the stories that I really want to tell to you all, to my family, to my nieces, not allowing those to die without being told. So that is one truth that has awakened within me since the passing of my gramps. The other is, and of course it's like, when somebody passes and then like all of these certain things, like you start to recognize certain things, right? Like for instance, I never thought that my gramps and I were alike in any way whatsoever. And once he passed, I started to realize like, whoa, we are way more alike than I ever realized. One of the things that I can recognize and see now is how my grandpa just lived his own life. And people didn't always understand that. The choices that he made, some of the choices that he made hurt a lot of people. One of those choices was he decided that he wanted to be a cowboy. He's always been like obsessed with like country and just cowboy culture. And he always wanted to be a cowboy. And he decided when me and my sister were really young that he was going to move to Arizona and he was going to be a cowboy. And that is exactly what he did. And my mom was, of course, really hurt and did not understand that. She's like, you have 2 granddaughters. Why would you ever want to move away from them? Why would you ever want to, not see them grow up or go to their baseball games or, XYZ? The truth of the matter was like, my gramps had a dream and he had a dream to be a cowboy and he was going to see that dream through. And he made that choice, with the consequence of my mom being, of course, upset with him and not really understanding, but he made it anyway. And I think that is a truth that I am really awakening to and have been awakening to, at least for the past like 5 years of my life, is that when we make choices that are aligned with our purpose and what we really want for ourselves, some people aren't going to understand. But that's not the point. The point is for you to follow your bliss. The point is for you to be okay with the choices that you make, because you are the person that has to live with them, right? You are the person that has to go, I didn't move to Arizona and become a cowboy, and now I have to live with that regret. Or I did go to Arizona and become a cowboy, and I can live knowing that maybe people didn't understand, but those were some of the best years of my life. And I know they were for my Gramps. He loved it. He just loved it. He loved his horses. He had birds. He would sit out on the porch and like watch the sunset. He would, whatever it's called, like with the cattle, where you like, bring the cattle in. I don't know what it's called. He built things. They built their own little cabin to live in down there. Like he literally was living his best life. And my hunch is that he doesn't regret that. He doesn't regret that. That was a dream that he really needed to see through. And so I hope that this inspires you to see whatever dream that you have that has been living in your heart, to see that dream through and know that people may not understand. People may roll their eyes. People may be flat out pissed that you move across the country or move to another country, or in my case, like decide not to have children or do have children and then move away, or like whatever the case may be, that you are following your bliss and what feels right for you and your purpose. Because I know it's so cliche, but we really truly do have one life, and it is so special. My Gramps loved life. And he made sure he did it right. Right for him. He loved life. He made every day really count. Again, even if it pissed people off. So, grief can awaken us to our most truest version of ourselves, truest version of the lives that we want to live. And don't wait. Don't wait to feel the depth of sadness and loss to say yes to the life that you really want to live. Okay, I did okay. I barely, I cried a lot. Today I'm wearing his shirt. My Gramps was not a very big man. As you can see, I don't even know what this is. Is this a sweatshirt? Short sleeve sweatshirt? I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's probably as old as he was. But I'm wearing it in honor of him today. And I'm going to go hang out with the birdhouses that he made me. His potting bench that he made me is still covered because it's, if something happens to it, I don't have him to help me fix it. So it stays under a cover until the weather gets nicer. But I'll post some pictures of his things that he's made me over the years, the things that I really, really treasure that, remind me of him and to follow my own bliss. So I love you all. Wildly free reflections. Drop any thoughts below. And here's to living your awakened life.